Bollywood super hit Dhurandhar has erupted into the biggest fight between critics and audiences since the days of Padmavat, Kashmir Files, and even the Kerala story. Early negative reviews triggered an online firestorm, with critics like Anupama Chopra facing intense trolling and accusations of ideological bias that one review was even pulled down. Supporters of the film insist that the backlash is a response to years of what they call selective outrage and double standards in the way politically charged films are judged. Now, this has turned a routine Friday review cycle into a national culture war.
That's right. Yet another debate over the freedom of speech and expression, whether it's the filmmaker's right or the film critic's right to put out what they think of a film or what they want in a film. The Film Critics Guild fired back, condemning the harassment and warning that intimidation of reviewers threatens the very idea of independent criticism. But with actors, filmmakers and political commentators jumping in, Dhurandhar has now joined that long list of films where artistic debate has collapsed into tribal battles over ideology, identity and narrative power. The big question, is the Dhurandhar storm a sign that film criticism and films itself in India is becoming impossible to be practiced independently in a climate where every film is treated as a political statement? That's right, Veera. We have Rashmi Sawant, author, joining us now. We have Tehseen Poonawalla with us in the studio. He's a political analyst, and we also will be joined by Raja Sen in just a bit. Tehseen, to you first. I've not watched the movie, but I'm grooving to that song, that Baluch song. I don't know the lyrics of it, but it's stuck in my head forever. Tell me, what are your views on this? Because the fissures are very clear. There's one side that's saying that, ultra-nationalism doesn't work in India, shouldn't be the way for filmmakers. And there's one side that says country comes first and this is just brilliant storytelling.
Thank you, Vasudha. Thank you, Veera, for having me on the show. The truth is somewhere, I think, in between. The fact is, if you don't like a piece of art, you can walk out of the theatre, of the art gallery. You don't like, say, a news channel, you can change the channel. You don't like a movie, don't go and watch it. But for people on either side to preach that a movie of certain caliber should not be made, I think that is impeaching on the artist's freedom of speech. Similarly, for critics, it is their job to critique. If I don't like your news show, I'm free to change the channel. But it is your job as anchors to present to the country what is happening in the country, the way you see it in a perspective. So I think to try and intimidate critics is also wrong. I think if you don't like a movie, make another movie. You don't like a book, write another book. You don't like a piece of art, if you can draw good, if you don't like it, just don't go and watch it. But don't have the right to intimidate people either side. Neither the filmmaker should be intimidated, neither the critics should be intimidated. I think India is too polarized. I think everybody sort of does it because they want to put their point of view across. And I think the only people running happily to the bank are the filmmakers, whether they're the liberal filmmakers or the conservative filmmakers. They are the ones who are making the money.
Which is true. Every time there is a controversy of this nature, the film does really well, and hence the controversy, and then the controversy feeds into the film's success. But it's a deeper issue, right, Tehseen? At least in this case, this is a narrative of India's fight against terror, whether it was docile, whether it was aggressive, how you went about that whole process. Now, this is an emotive issue. When it comes to a film critic, and let's go to Raja Sen as well, when it comes to a film critic where, Rashmi Sawant has joined us. I believe Raja Sen will join us in just a bit from now. Rashmi Sawant, how do you see this debate? In a sense, there is the freedom of expression. Here there is no state turning around and filing a case against the film critic. This is basically online trolling and online abuse and an enormous amount of spamming messages to whether it is an actor or a film critic who's writing their point of view on it. Should they be coming down to it? Is it time to turn around and say that irrespective of the online trolling, we'll just put our review out there and it has to stand the test of time?
Well, firstly, I think I have some differing point of view. I've always believed that artists have a responsibility towards its audience. And when it comes to filmmaking, it has had a disproportionate impact on the people's sense of popular culture. And for a very long time, the Bollywood has somewhat sidelined, the plight of the Kashmiri Pandits, be it what happened in Mumbai on 26 11 beat the IC-814 hijacking. So there has been a disproportionate way in the way in which these things have been portrayed by the films. And somehow there has been an entire ecosystem of funding, critiques, actors that have played an active role in ensuring that one side of the narrative actively shapes public opinion. I think that is very unfair. I think the people of India deserve to know the truth as to what their country went through and the reality of the time. And because this film is based on real events, to call it, a number of things as the critiques have, I think that is very unfair, because this film, I've watched it. It includes recordings that were caught by police between the handlers and the hostage takers when the Mumbai attack happened. So they've used real clippings. It's as close as it can get to reality. I do feel that, artists somewhere do have a responsibility, and for a very long time, a nexus and an ecosystem has actively shaped public opinion in one particular way that's not been in the best interests of this country.
Okay, Rashmi, before I go to Tehseen, there is a certain criticism of those who have not liked this film, and they say that there is a certain demonizing of Muslims, especially the Pathans. Did you feel that way? Is there a certain caricaturing that happens? Is there a certain demonizing that happens, which you think is not healthy for a democracy?
Well, I watched this film end to end. I think there is nothing against Islam. Everything in this film criticizes the Pakistani regime and the ISI in the way that it's played a role in terrorism, cross-border terrorism. And if people want to somehow conflate that Pakistan represents Muslims of the world, then I can't help them. I think that is the problem. Pakistan does not represent the Muslims of the world, and people need to stop making that connection and somehow start taking it personally. You cannot name one scene within the film where there is an active criticism of Islam. It's only about what happens in Lyari, how these underworld gangs work, and how they perpetrate terrorism, cross-border terrorism. That's it.
So let me get Tehseen as well into this. Tehseen, when a critic says that, look, I don't agree with the politics of the film, but it's a great film. Even Hrithik Roshan went around and said that. Is that then, one part of it is saying that, look, my judgment is different. I think this is caricaturing. I don't agree with it. There, the critic's freedom of right is there. But B, is it also turning around and saying that, look, your facts are wrong? Because when you say that there is a film that's made on particular facts, it's like disputing facts and disputing, let us say, a national victory at some level, or let's say the fight against terror. It could be sensitive to any society which is, sort of dealing with issues of terror on a day-to-day basis.
So again, I do agree here with what Rashmi says. I have a lot of friends who've seen the film. Some of them are right-wing supporters, some of them are liberal, so-called liberal supporters, and some of them are just fence-sitters like you and me, or the people in the middle like the three of us, and we're just okay. And nobody's blamed Indian Muslims. Pakistan perpetrates terror in India. That's a fact. Pakistan perpetrates terror, and its aim is to destroy India. Now, these are facts that cannot be taken away. This is not against Indian Muslims. So I think to an extent, those who speak up for liberals need to stop speaking up, because they really cause harm to the liberal cause. If you're liberal, the idea of being liberal is I may disagree with you, but I will stand by your right to say what I want. Don't go about on YouTube, especially some YouTube journalists, going about ranting all the time and crying all the time. It's honestly pissing off now. Stop speaking for liberals, okay? A lot of these liberals, or so-called people in other professions, try and do that on their X handles, etc. It's pissing off. Don't speak for liberals.
Sorry, Tehseen.
But at the other side,
I agree with your point, but let me just ask you here, when you say a film is based on facts, and then you are building a social narrative on that basis, whether it is a Madras Cafe, which was not taken up in this whole thing, it was about LTTE, even Family Man, when the second season came about LTTE, there was serious questions asked, because some of these end up stereotyping and making a particular narrative work in the society, especially in today's age where films become very, very important. So isn't it also the job of that liberal critic to question that film?
Question the facts of the film. For example, when Rashmi said, look, these calls were intercepted by the Indian agencies, it's true. So you could have put it in that it was actually the Jammu and Kashmir police that was very successful in infiltrating Hafiz Saeed's network and giving them the SIM cards, which were actually used, as a result of which the Mumbai police was able to trace them down. Right. So you could have put those in. I'm not disputing that. But to make every movie say this is a movie, this is a biographical, but at the same time, a liberal or a film critic can say, I don't agree with this, but I think the film is great. Technically, it's a great film. It's well made. But again, I'll tell you
what did we see with regard to Hrithik Roshan? We saw Sabah.
But Hrithik said something different on Instagram, where the audience is very liberal, and he said something different on X, where the audience seems to be a little listening. So
but
this
when,
is again,
when his
you
partner
think
gets trolled for her views, that is not right, right?
Like, you cannot be abused.
No, why should a review be taken out?
Now that review, in my opinion, was taken out. This is my opinion, because this movie had to do with one of the big boys of the film industry who produces everything, and her husband needs to obviously at some point work with them. That is my limited opinion. I don't think she hated for that. And again, there is no need to hide. There is no need to abuse. Put your views out, and let's all be a decent society. But again, stop speaking for everybody. Stop speaking for conservatives and liberals.
Rashmi, I'm in a dilemma over this, because a part of my mind tells me that hyper-nationalism, ultra-nationalism, nationalism is a better marker of our unity than any other divisions, because I would rather be known as an Indian, and it's okay to praise India in films. But there's another part of me which wants freedom of expression to be treated, as the only truth. What is your view on this? The fact that some of the criticism was also pulled down, is that a good thing?
Well, I think end of the day, yes. I think in a democratic society, freedom of speech is necessary. And I think those criticizing these critiques need to, follow certain lines of decency. I think some people took it really far when, they used certain words. But I think they need to be able to take the healthy part of criticism as well. For instance, I get all kinds of criticism online. It's up to me to take one part of it and work on it. As long as nobody is physically threatening them, I think it's just part of being in the public life, and you need to take, all kinds of opinions that come your way. There needs to be openness to that.
I believe we can finally go across to Raja Sen as well, who's joined in there. Raja Sen, we've been having quite a debate. We've covered most of the topics, but what's your take as far as both the reviewers having to take down their reviews are concerned, and also the questioning of the facts of the film or the narrative or its politics while appreciating the film itself?
Well, I think the reviewer has many ways in which to criticize a film. There are many aspects that we have to take into account. And I think the fact that in this situation, what it looks like, I have often been flamed in the past by trolls for reviews. Sometimes there's something bad about a movie star and they come back and criticize you. This does not seem like one of those occasions. This seems like the kind of IT cell trolling that we have witnessed many times in the past, that other journalists also see more in the political sphere. But in this case, we are seeing a lot of a mob attack, which seems concerted, and which is what the troubling thing is. That so far,
Raja Sen, is there a bias in the liberal ecosystem when it comes to certain movies that are ideologically aligned? Because that's the criticism.
I think the point is that if you don't disagree with the critic, feel free to disagree with them. But when it comes to a point of saying something violent about them, giving them death threats, abusing their families, then we are crossing over. No, that is not criticism.
Absolutely.
The critics are not doing that to Aditya Dhar or to the film. So I think they can disagree with them. There are many right-aligned critics that the audiences who want to find someone to agree with will find. So there's always going to be somebody. I mean, this is not a question of left or right. It is a movie, and opinion is not mathematics, right? So there is a point that I might think something is very bad, you might think it is very good. We are both correct in our own ways.
Absolutely.
No, we need to be allowed to disagree with each other.
No, you're perfect on that point, but you raised another important point, and I just want to get Tehseen's last word on this.
Sure.
Tehseen, it's not the question of organic comments that come in. It's the question of a propaganda machine sending out comments of that nature, the algorithm sending out comments of that nature to troll a particular critic when it comes down. And that's the danger, because you don't then have to ban a critic or pull down a review by law. But you can do this by the social media pressure, and that's the real fear.
The numbers here, yeah.
Yeah, but that is true for all sides. You could even use that positively to hype up a movie. So I think at the end of the day, the so-called IT cells on either side of the divide will always be used to put their propaganda ahead. So I just want to make one thing very clear to the audiences. Look, there was a recent, I'll just take 30 seconds. There's an industrialist whose wedding, family wedding was there recently, and politicians across dance on it, okay? Politicians, filmmakers, don't get divided. They make money. You guys are the fools to fight over them. They will sit in the night, they will party together, they will go out together, they will go for holidays together. Don't spoil your friendship, your relationships over this. It's not worth it.
All right, you're making a strong point there. So I guess it's a question to watch the film and make a judgment for yourself on what you think is right or wrong. But as Tehseen says, these controversies only push the desire to watch those films, which makes great business for filmmakers, Vasudha.
And like all our panelists agreed upon this one thing, that it's our right to agree or disagree, and we all have to be subjective in our own ways. It's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.